Hello everyone, so we are the Group B3 and we'll be presenting to you all the wood carving industry of Sri Lanka. So wood carving is one of the most famous industry in the whole world. The wood craftsman adds additional value to the wood by using their knowledge and experience. Wood carving spread in the most countries like United States, Germany, Russia, Italy, France, Japan, China and also Sri Lanka. So now when it comes to Sri Lanka, it has a long history with wood carving. It is one of the historical industry in Sri Lanka. Through the Lankatilaka temple and Ambedkar Devalaya in Kandy, we can prove the historical and traditional skills of wood carving since the birth of Buddhism in Sri Lanka. Wood carving has a very great history, and at the moment 18 of the caste people arrived with Arahat Mihidu Thero to Sri Lanka. In that crew also they have a wood craftsman, and that was the origin of the implementation of wood carving in Sri Lanka. So most of the time the skill of wood carving, they have continued the art from one generation to another through their family. And now you will be able to see a wooden elephant, which is a part of our rich heritage. All right. So now let's move on to the theoretical foundation of wood carving industry. Since mankind come on earth, it has great combination with woods and trees. Structurally, woods are different from tree, and man used it to fulfill their daily purposes such as gathering purposes, security purposes, etc. And later it started using it for craft purposes as well. And traditional woodcraft come out from the history with the process of technological, economic and societal processes. So here we are discussing three perspectives of wood carving as practical, epistemological and anthological. So with the Industrial Revolution, human skills were developed and they use very advanced techniques, designs and strategies for that. And we can get carpentry, cabinetry, wood carving as examples. And all of these skills developed around the wood carving philosophy. So now let's talk about the learning process and knowledge management of woodcraft industry in Sri Lanka. So learning is a multidisciplinary subject. So in this context, we'll be talking about the learning process and knowledge management of woodcraft industry in Sri Lanka. So when we consider about learning modes of woodcraft industry in Sri Lanka, in the cognitive level, here we consider learning as an intellectual concept and frameworks. It is mentioned that carving of wood in Sri Lanka started a very long time ago, and it was during the time when Buddhism was first introduced to the island by Arahat Mahinda, as I previously explained to you all. So in the cultural level, the learning is taken by being a component and by being a member of a certain cultural context. So most of the people still work with the knowledge they have inherited from their fathers. Therefore, we can see they are learning their cultural norms and values there. Now in the behavioral level, it is the experience-based learning. Woodcraft is a very easy opportunity to learn through experience. Learning with experience helps you invent innovative machines to replace the methods of the past. Now, according to exploration learning and exploitation learning theories, we can see that both theories are using practically in this industry. In exploration learning, without any deliberation or extra effort by using gut feeling, some carpenters recognize patterns that may be different from existing processes. And they find new pathologies and innovative ideas, and then in the group level, they interpret their new ideas and they begin to share collectively and experiment. And in organizing level of this industry, they are trying to integrate and finally they institutionalize it. Now timber process innovation centers with University of Sri Jayawardhanapura and University of Moratuwa is one of such institutional establishment in Sri Lanka for this purpose. So now to talk about the eastern and western view of wood carving, I invite Vishmi. So Vishmi, it's now over to you.
Thank you, Praveen. So now you already know that wood carving has a history of thousands of years old. So we can say it is kind of an art which is linked to the cultures of the societies in a country. So we divide the industry of wood carving into Eastern and Western wood carving, where both have different traditions. So let me consider the Eastern view of wood carving first. So here we consider that the Eastern wood carving comes from practice-based perspective mainly. We say it because it is embedded in practice and the knowledge of wood carving is within the people. It is not written in any book and it passes from one generation to another. I will talk about the Indian and Sri Lankan wood carving in a brief manner. So when it comes to Indian wood carving, it also has a long history that runs back to pre-Mauryan times. We can find out examples like Ashoka Palace, Temple of Buddha Gaya, and the temples in Uttar Pradesh as ancient carving. In India, the way of doing wood carving and the traditions are different from one region to another. So these people acknowledge the talent from their past generations. It is inherited by them. So most importantly, Indians carve images of lords such as Lord Ganesh, Goddess Lakshmi as a practice of Buddhist custom. So this is basically about Indian wood carving. So when it comes to Sri Lanka, we got this art as a gift from India, and our carving industry is basically practiced as a part of our Buddhist culture. So when talking about Sri Lankan wood carving, the best example we can state is Ambaka Devalaya. It is full of, I would say, marvelous and beautiful wood carvings. If you go there, you would see wooden pillars, beams, lotus designs, and lot more inside it. So unlike India and Sri Lanka, countries like Russia, China, Japan practice this wood carving industry. So now I would move into Western view of wood carving. The Western wood carving is mostly developed through learning and referring to written textbooks. They get the ability of carving through continuous practicing and the explicit knowledge. The importance of talking about European wood carving is that they engage in inventing new technology and new tools of doing wood carving. So, we can state Germany, France, Italy as examples of countries engaging wood carving in present day. So, this is the overall situation of wood carving in Eastern and Western countries. So, in order to get a clear idea, we went on a field visit. The owner of the mill shared his personal experience with us. So now let's move on to the video we prepared in our field visit. So we will share a part of the video, and please go to the link to watch the full video if you are more interested. Thank you.
මම අවුරුදු 15න් පමණ ගුරුවරයෙක් යටතේ මෙම කැටයම් කලාව හදාරන්න යොමු වුණා. එතුමා ළඟ අවුරුදු 10ක් පමණ මම සේවය කරා. ඉන්පසුව මම මේ පාරම්පරික කැටයම් කලාව නව තාක්ෂණයේ යන්ත්‍ර භාවිතා කරනවා යම් තාක් දුරකට. ඒත් මේකේ නිර්මාණය සාර්ථක වෙන්න නම් අපි අතින් කරන නිර්මාණය තමයි මේ හරියටම නිමාව ගන්න පුළුවන්. මොකද අපේ හිතේ තියෙන නිමාව නිර්මාණය එළියට එන්නේ අපේ අතින්ම කරොත් තමයි.
Now we can talk about some arguments regarding this. First point is practical experience are more effective than theoretical knowledge. It is true that explicit knowledge we can codify and store, and people need explicit method to manage knowledge. But in an industry like woodcraft, we need practical experience more than theory, because all the things we experience cannot write in words, and experience is really hard to replace. Also, others cannot copy the design easily. That gives us a competitive advantage. Next, we talk about obsolete technology. Craftsmen are not much interested in using new technology, so they have to bear additional cost and time. In woodcraft industry, we can't totally move to new technologies because handmade products have a separate value and a demand. There are other arguments as well, like in woodcraft industry there is low level of government support, lack of resources, and so on. Next, we can talk about the changes that happened in woodcraft industry during COVID-19 pandemic. Woodcraft industry does not much depend on technology and moves fastly from generation to generation by creating a higher need for human interactions. Social interactions, the awareness and the likeness of the industry decreased because of COVID-19. Next, we can see that industries like woodcarving, most of the demand for products depends on foreign tourism, especially when it comes to ornaments and handcraft wood items. Because of the travel restrictions due to COVID, the demand was totally declined. Not only that, financial crisis and increasing cost of living affect negatively on woodcraft industry. In such a situation, innovation, the cost of continuing such a handmade production industry created a high value of opportunity cost, and with the poor level of technological adoptions, the sustainability of the industry became more and more challenging. Until now, the training programs about the industry and the knowledge passing from generation to generation happening in a very primary way, and which is really not suitable according to the present circumstances. Therefore, there's a higher need for adopting the technology-based production, and training and development should also happen among the members of the industry with use of technology. Also, government can help by giving grants for survival of the industry. In the end, we can say creating awareness sessions, advertising, and allocating social media marketing experts to carry out marketing campaigns to market foodcraft products are some of the methods that the government can use for the survival of the industry, which can ultimately be a reason for the development of the industry as well. So overall, we talk about woodcraft industry, how they adopt game practices, then we discuss about the arguments and how COVID-19 affect on woodcraft industry, and based on our opinions, we talk about recommendations that will lead for development of the industry.